All right, this is another 7 round mock draft. And this time I used a different simulator, guys, and we had some trades that went on. This one's going to be for the Cleveland Browns. Um, Probably the funnest one I've done so far. You can't go wrong here. Let's just say that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, guys. So with the first pick overall, I know a lot of people have been trying to decide what the Browns should do with this pick. Some people, have been saying trade it. Some people have been saying use it on, Myles Garrett. And I myself agree with the latter. I went ahead, picked up the best player in this draft. That is Myles Garrett. There is no doubt in my mind about that. I have him here as a defensive end. The Browns are going to start rebuilding. They're going to need to do it, to where they can start with the best blue chip guy that they can get, and that is Myles Garrett. There's no doubt about that. Another good thing about this is if you guys look at Pro Football Focus's rankings for the Browns last year. Their defensive line just sucks. I mean, Shelton's the only good guy on their defensive line, like out of anything. Everybody else is just garbage. So Nasib, Mater, Ogba, they all just had horrible rankings by Pro Football Focus. So instantly upgrading their defensive line with Myles Garrett here. I mean, you can plug him in over there and just toss Nasib. You put him over there and just let him go off, man. Or Ogba, you can get rid of him, kind of cycle him out. Honestly, they're gonna probably put him on that side on the right end to deal with left tackles. I would like him there right next to Shelton. I think they'd be really disruptive next to each other personally, but that's just me. Anyways, that is the first pick I went ahead and took. So we got Myles Garrett out of Texas A&M. All right, guys. Second pick, another first rounder. This is the 12th pick overall, and I know a lot of people were wondering if this one would be traded, right? Like, hey, let's trade back, get some more picks, right? I didn't really get any good offers though. I got some BS offers. It was like another pick and like the 26th overall and like a third round pick, and I was like, that's garbage. I'm not gonna accept that garbage. But looking at the Pro Football Focus's rankings. If you guys get a chance to take a look, the Browns actually don't have that bad of an offense. They suffer a lot from offensive line injury, and honestly, they need a stud running back and a couple of receivers like Corey Coleman, Hawkins. Those guys weren't doing good this year. Terrell Pryor surprisingly did really good this year, but I went ahead and picked up Leonard Fournette here out of LSU. I figure you put Leonard Fournette there. He's going to instantly upgrade anybody who's in the receiving core just because now you got to worry about Leonard Fournette running the ball, I mean, that automatically makes people weary and helps you in your receiving game if you got a stud running back. So went ahead and picked him up here. Didn't trade the pick. I didn't feel there's enough value in it. So I went ahead and did that. Next pick was the first pick in the second round overall. I went ahead and traded this one down because I was just thinking, like, hey, how can I get more value out of this? There's just so many holes on the Browns that I needed to find a way to maximize that potential. So I did trade down. I got the 14th pick overall in the second round and also the 16th pick overall in the third round for this. And I'll talk more in a second about what we turned that into. I think I personally turned it into an excellent trade. So the second pick or the second round came by. Obviously, I traded down. I got the 14th pick overall. Went ahead and went with Ethan Posick out of LSU. With his classman there, Leonard Fournette. I'm gonna plug him in at center. Irving was garbage this year. He is the worst member of the Browns' offensive line. Horrible ratings by Pro Football Focus, and just honestly, if there was a weak link along that line, it's him. So you get Ethan Posick in there. He's the best center in the entire draft. Plus you already got some chemistry there with Leonard Fournette, and that's an instant match made in heaven right there. So went ahead and picked him up. That's an instant upgrade. That line's gonna do a lot better now. They got a more reliable, dependable center. Okay, so I did do a little bit of trading here. I can't remember exactly how I got it, but I did pick up Atlanta's pick. They're right now they have them at 31 overall, so that kind of people are kind of saying the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl basically. But I started to think, okay, Pryor's on that side of the field. Let me how can I get even better here? What can I do even better? Corey Coleman, he didn't really do good, as far as rankings are concerned. So I picked up Juju Smith-Schuster out of Southern Cal. Um, Big dude. He can go up, get the ball. He's a pretty physical guy. I think he's like 6'2". He's like 220. He's kind of a big, strong dude. So for a while he was a first round pick, and a lot of people were, basically saying he was the top guy to go after. So his draft stock may have fallen a little bit, but he's still not a bad receiver. So I went ahead and picked him up here. Hopefully, he turns into something good, helps out with the receivers here, because honestly, they're gonna need all the help they can get based off what I'm looking at. So that came and went. The second round was over. Went ahead and got to the third round. We had the Browns here. They had the number one pick overall in the third round. And I went back to defense because it's just a mess over there. They literally have 3 guys on defense, or 4 guys, I should say. But honestly, their linebackers are probably their only good bright spot, and it's just bad. I went ahead and picked up Dalvin Tomlinson. I thought it'd be really cool to pair him up along the line with Shelton, and then Myles Garrett there. I think you put him, Shelton's there, you got Myles Garrett. Now you're talking about some serious punishment being dealt out. He's out of Alabama. Didn't get as much. I guess you could say as much people like taking looks at him as other players in Alabama. It's kind of hard to stand out in Alabama's defense because everybody's just good. I mean, Dalvin Tomlinson, though, he is a stud defensive tackle, but overshadowed obviously by like Jonathan Allen and just other players in Alabama. But it's kind of like saying like you're John Elway, but you're standing next to like Joe Montana or Tom Brady or something. Like you're still great, but everybody else is gonna talk about them like they're better than you. So think of it like that. Okay, I did some trading here. This is the 16th pick overall in the third round. This is the one from earlier when I got that trade. They traded down and got Ethan Posick. This is the other part of it. I got Fabian Maru out of UCLA, and the reason I got him is because the Browns just have a horrible, horrible, horrible secondary. He can play both corner and free safety. He's projected in the NFL to be more of a corner though. So I picked him up as a corner, or at least I would intend for him to be a corner, at least in my personal opinion. So I got him there for the versatility. I think he's gonna be doing pretty good. That's just me personally though. So the Browns gonna need all the help they can get. So maybe they can plug him in at free safety if injuries start to rack up. But honestly, at the end of the day, he's gonna be a corner in my opinion. So went ahead and picked him up there. Let's see what else we got. All right, went back to some offense, right? And I was really worried about, I was really worried this whole time about like how are we gonna make these guys, like they have horrible, aside from Terrell Pryor, they have horrible receivers at this point. Everybody just did crappy, and I mean it's just the way it is. So looking here, I went ahead and picked up Zay Jones out of East Carolina. More receiving threats there. I'm just trying to stack receivers, honestly, because they're going to go to training camp, and that gives, the coaching staff a lot to pretty much figure out who they want to get and who they want to keep, right? Honestly, I have a feeling a lot of guys would just be pushed right out. So I got him. The next pick is the 31st pick overall in round 3, and this one I kind of reached on this one, but you know what? They kind of gave me a bad draft. Like, they gave me a little bit of heat about this one. And they try to, they're trying to say, like, it wasn't a great pick because I reached too much on it. And that's okay. I mean, I can understand that, but you got to understand, like, you got to take opportunities when they're available, essentially. So I went ahead and got Fish Smithson out of Kansas. Free safety. I honestly, Fabian Moreau can play free safety, and they do have problems at free safety. But for this situation in its entirety, you're going to need somebody who knows the position, plays the position all the time. And honestly, I just see, someone like Fabian playing corner more. So went ahead and picked up Fish Smithson here out of Kansas. Campbell right now on the Browns. He had an okay Pro Football Focus ranking. Nothing to be proud of or anything, but guess we gotta get somebody in there and start making these guys work for their jobs because based off what I'm seeing, they don't want to do any work. So I picked him up. If anything, if he doesn't get the starting position, it's for depth. You can never have too much of that. So went ahead and picked him up there. Third round ended. I had one more pick in the third round here. So I went right back to the defensive line. I'm like, let's stack it up some more. Picked up Larry Ogunjobi, and he's a defensive tackle out of Charlotte. He's a monster. If you guys don't know about him, look him up. He rips through lines, no problem. If he has a lot of tackles for loss, like he's up in people's face. And honestly, you can't get much better than that when you're a defensive lineman. You might not get sacks, but if you're stuffing people so they can't even get back to the line of scrimmage, that's even better. So that's almost as discouraging because you can sack a quarterback and he can get kind of scared. But if you start like hitting receivers and hitting running backs and stuff and stuffing them, they're going to get discouraged. They can't run the ball anymore. It's over, man. So went ahead and picked him up here. Got a really good draft. They gave me an A+ on this pick. So got him. I feel like it was a steal. Round 4. All right. So initially, guys, I was thinking quarterback. And I was like, man, Cody Kessler's there. I don't know if Hugh Jackson's going to want to keep Cody Kessler around. But, he didn't do bad last year. He had a 74.8 rating in Pro Football Focus, which is okay. It's not terrible. It's average, given the fact that he just had a horrible, horrible team to work with. You can't really fault him. I think that I started thinking it over and I was like, I'm going to give Cody Kessler another year. I'm not going to worry about a quarterback in this year's draft because honestly, nobody was worth the pick. They got way better players out of the picks, in my opinion, than going for a quarterback. And if anybody, it was going to be Brad Kaya right here. But he was already taken a late third round, which was honestly, I felt like whoever did that reached for him, because that's just ridiculous. You reached into the third round for him. That okay, you can keep him. I'm gonna go with my next pick. So I got Kevin King here out of Washington, another corner. Help with that secondary. The secondary is just a mess. They're probably the weakest link. Them and the defensive line are probably the two weakest spots in the entire team for the Browns. So went ahead and picked him up. Kevin King out of Washington. There he is. He's pretty good. He out of all corners, he's in the top, at least top 15 out of all the corners in the draft. That's what he's projected at least at this point. He's a pretty big guy. He's actually 6'3", kind of lanky. He's tall. He doesn't weigh too much. He's 192, but you get him. Line him up against some guys who, may be a little bit bigger, a little bit taller, like a vertical threat, and let him just shut him down. He's not slow or anything, so you plug him there and just let him go to work. So picked him up here, got a good draft grade for him. They gave me an A-. So basically I didn't have to reach for him, and I felt that was a good pick there. Next pick, I got this one. It looks like from Tampa Bay. I don't even remember trading with them, but oh well, I guess I did. This one's probably from like last year or something. So I started thinking about linebackers. Now, the Browns actually don't really have a huge problem at linebacker. You got Jamie Collins right there, Kirksey's on the other side there. So honestly, out of all their defensive units, the linebacker core is really they're not a big worry. They don't have anything to really worry about here. But you can never go wrong with getting more guys, right? So with that being said, I went ahead and picked up Jalen Reeves-Maybin, and he's out of Tennessee. And they gave me a D on this. I think that's bullcrap, and here's why. So the reason that they gave me a D on him, and I'm going to tell you why, is because he got hurt, and basically they're weary about him now. He's hurt. We can't, we got to be careful now because, he was hurt at one point. But I'll tell you one thing. He basically, he had a second round ranking at one point. So, I mean, take it or leave it, or take it how you feel. But just because you get hurt, I'm gonna take the risk on him. It's a late round pick. It's a late fourth round pick. And honestly, I'm putting him in a unit that really, at the end of the day, doesn't really need immediate help. So it's not like I'm taking a huge risk on somebody. I think he'll turn out to be pretty good depth, if not a starter, to be honest with you. That's just me, though. So that was the last pick there in the fourth round. So I had three more picks. I had some opportunities to trade. I just declined them. I was like, what kind of talent am I really going to get in the seventh round that I can't just get in other spots? You know what I mean? So I went ahead and looked back at what they had, and I just started thinking about depth. Barnridge is here. He's their tight end. I went ahead and picked up Jeremy Sprinkle out of Arkansas. Just for opportunity to add more depth there. And then obviously tight ends are they're very essential to a good team. You got to have them there for blocking. You got to have them there, for passing threat. And really, I think that he can get it done here. So moving forward, I went right back to the wide receivers. That's how bad it is, guys. The wide receiver issue in Cleveland. I mean, you can't just throw to Terrell Pryor every single time. Okay, everybody else is either A, gonna have to step it up, or B, gonna lose your job. So I went ahead and picked up Katie Cannon out of Baylor, and I like this kid. He honestly kind of flying under the radar. They gave me a B- on him. I would say probably because I just drafted way too many wide receivers already, but I mean, he's the third guy I drafted that was a wide receiver this draft. And this kid last year, he had like 89 receptions for like 1,200 something yards, and just a gank load of TDs. So, he plays at Baylor, so I mean, he's not playing against garbage or anything. But those are impressive ass numbers. That's really you getting over 1,000 yards receiving on 89 passes. Get out of here with that. Not even over 1,000 yards, over 1,200 yards at that. He's the only thing I think about him is that if I remember correctly, he's kind of small. I have to look it up, but I believe he's kind of a small dude. So that could come back, to bite him in the ass. But he's 6 feet tall. He's a $181. He's not the biggest receiver. He's not gonna just pull stuff out of the air away from somebody. But at the end of the day, he makes it happen. You know what I mean? He has the average speed and stuff, but he's making shit happen. So we're gonna keep him there at round 5, pick 34. And the last pick, this was the last pick. I had an option here to trade for some more picks, but at the end of the day, I was just like, I don't really feel like I'm gonna find anything else beyond this. So I went ahead and picked up Keontae Davis out of Chattanooga. This is a defensive end pick because the first pick obviously was Myles Garrett, and on both ends the Browns are just suffering. To give you kind of an idea, one end you're ranked 41.9 on Pro Football Focus's rankings. The other end's ranked 42.8. So, I mean, I feel I fixed the entire line. Shelton was cool at the defensive tackle. I went ahead and picked up Dalvin Tomlinson and Larry Ogunjobi there for defensive tackle number 2, or they could just rotate in. I mean, it would be like a defensive tackle by committee, and they would just wreck people. You got Myles Garrett over there on the other side, and then now you get Keontae Davis here out of Chattanooga. I could plug him across that way, and there you go, defensive line fixed. You're welcome. So he's actually ranked in the pretty much. If you guys, I don't know if you guys have taken a look, but at one point he was getting mentioned along with names like like Derek Barnett and Devontae Fields, and even in the same list as it's like a Myles Garrett. So he's in the top 10 at one point, and they were talking about him being a high end athlete in this draft. So he's not going to be like explosive like Myles Garrett or anything, and he might just be your average everyday NFL player. But you know what? He's got a lot of focus. He's driven. He's productive, and that stuff pays off at the end of the day. That was how I wrapped it up. So let's kind of just do a quick wrap up. We got a defensive end. We got two defensive ends. Okay, two defensive tackles. Okay, three wide receivers. We got a outside linebacker. We have well, I would say two corners. One of them is actually a pseudo corner free safety combo. We got a free safety, and we got a new center, which honestly, I think the center is going to make the world of difference on the offensive line. That's just me, though. And we got a stud running back. I feel this was a good draft. There were a few reaches here, but I felt they were necessary. With Jalen Reeves-Maybin and Fish Smithson, I felt those were necessary reaches simply because the Browns needed something, and I was willing to take the risk on Jalen Reeves-Maybin. And honestly, I'm still kind of upset that they gave me that's BS for Fish Smithson. He's one of the better free safeties this year, so or at least available at the time. He was one of the better free safeties. So, but that's just me. I'll leave it at that. If you guys have any comments, go ahead and leave them in the comment box below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Thank you. I'll be releasing more content soon.